We owe a big thank you to Mal Pope, who went to the inaugural Llandeilo Literature Festival for this show last Friday. That was an event for authors, musicians and comedians hoping to become a major annual event in Llandeilo. Well, Llandeilo seems to be the place to be for aspirational new festivals. Today sees the start of the first ever Llandeilo Jazz Festival. There must be something in the water or maybe the beer. Simon Buckley's in our Carmarthen studio to tell us all about it. Good morning, Simon.
Morning, Simon. Welcome.
Good morning. It's nice to be with you at what's going to be the beginning of a very busy weekend, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're from Evan-Evans Brewery. You're sponsoring the first ever Llandeilo Jazz Festival. Tell us about why you got involved.
Well, it's very simple, really. We've been involved with Brecon Jazz for the last 6 years, and there was so much chaos in January, February as to whether Brecon was on or off. We stood up and said we would help finance it for this year, but nobody ever got back to us. So we decided at the end of February, early March, well, let's bring it home to Llandeilo and let's set up a jazz festival that perhaps in a year or two time will be certainly as good as Brecon Jazz, and if not in its own way, better and different.
And this is a free music festival.
Totally free. And the message I'd like to get out there is not only is it totally free, but it's an all-weather event. Most of the venues are inside. There is some street music, which is covered. But more importantly than anything, you know, the beer is brewed, the tents are up, and the town's ready for a weekend of great music. And we urge everybody who has downloaded a ticket, and in fact, we could go as far as to say it's a sellout because over 3,000 tickets have gone, and for us that was very much, or very many more than we'd originally thought would ever happen.
Simon, are you a jazz man yourself?
Well, I'm not an aficionado, let's put it like that, but I know what I like with a good pint of beer.
So in terms of getting artists to come to something that's new, how much of a challenge is that? Well,
I'm very lucky. As part of my team, I have David Brockwell, who's based in Brecon, who's worked with us for the last 6 years at Brecon Jazz. And as a result of our close working relationship, David's got together and put together a nice group of artists that range from trad jazz, gypsy jazz, blues, and indeed in the street music we've got a good mixture of young musicians and of course some seasoned veterans. But the most important thing to say about Llandeilo Jazz is that it not only is it free, but it's to be a party. There's so much doom and gloom out there at the moment, and this is about having good fun, whatever the weather, and making sure that people come to our great town and see it. And you're quite right. Last week was literary, and it was great to see somebody I was at school with, Sir Andrew Motion, many, many years ago. And then this week it's jazz, and next week we have our classic music festival, which has been running for 12 years, which again is another monumental event in the music calendar here in Wales.
Very brave to put on an event like this in the current economic climate.
Oh, Jamie, if you'd seen the messages of goodwill that we've received, you'd understand why people are flocking to Llandeilo this weekend. It's because it is free, yes, but also what's most important, I've been very lucky through my business contacts to drag in, I dare say, without too much kicking and screaming, the likes of Carlsberg and Matthew Clark, big companies that are prepared to get behind us because they know the event will be a success.
And is it designed to be sort of a rival to Brecon, to complement Brecon, to add to it? How do you see it progressing?
It's a feeder for Brecon. It's exactly 1 month before. We are proud to be associated with the Brecon Fringe through our George Hotel in Brecon. But what's really important is that this is a stepping stone for a lot of bands who can't get to play at Brecon because of the sheer size and the ergonomics involved. So what we're doing is providing a venue, and then each year, hopefully bands that play in Llandeilo will progress and play at the Fringe in Brecon and add a new dimension to the Fringe, which is still one of the most successful events in Wales.
Have you brewed a special concoction for the event?
Hardly a concoction, Jamie, please. My son James, who's been on your programme before, he worked with me to create a new beer called Stomper, and I'm delighted to say that I had a few pints of it last night just to check for the quality control purposes.
Oh well, of course.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And yes, it's a delicious gold golden beer. It's a summer beer designed to be easily quaffable, and it's not too strong either.
How are you finding business in general, Simon?
Well, I'm pleased to report that we're having a very good year, but we're working harder than ever. We're having to chase margin more than ever. It's taking longer for people to pay us, but having said that, we're working with all our customers. And this year, it's certainly harder than last year, and there's no doubt about it. People are being more cautious with their cash. But what's very important is they're still eking out the quality proposition. The good pubs are doing well, and brewers like ourselves are having a great success.
It's a confusing picture, isn't it? Because we get lots of people who run pubs on the programme, and lots of pubs turning into coffee shops, some pubs just simply closing or being taken over by community groups because of 30 years of factors, things like the smoking ban, drink driving simply is unlawful, obviously, all those kind of thing. I mean, you certainly wouldn't open a pub these days, would you?
Well, I would. The problem is that the pubs that are closing are the pubs that haven't changed. People who are used to living in nice houses, having quality experiences at home, are not going to come out to pubs that are dirty, tired, run down, and most importantly of all, don't have that basic benchmark which is vital in this day and age, which is high quality service. And I'm very lucky. My team focus on that all the time, improving things. And you have got to be competitive. It is no good charging £3 odd a pint for bitter when the market is telling you that, at £2.65, we're about there, thank you.
And the price is obviously absolutely vital. And you mentioned earlier about, chasing margins. For products that are quality products, locally produced, you would expect consumers to pay a little extra, a little premium for that.
There's no premium out there, Louise.
That's not to be had anymore, is it?
No, I was at the Soil Association Organic Brewing Conference on Tuesday, and people were trying to suggest that there was a premium for organic, and myself and the buyer from Waitrose, we made it perfectly clear. The consumer is telling us they want a quality product, they don't want to pay too much for it, and they want to drink it in a quality environment. Now, if you offer them all those things, you will still do well. And I'm glad to say our pubs are doing well. But all too often, how many times have you walked into a pub and the person behind the bar shrugs their eyebrows at you instead of saying, hello, welcome, my wages are walked in your pocket?
Exactly.
we do want those special occasions, don't we? I mean, we are tiring of those big chains where whether you're sitting in Inverness or Haverfordwest, it's the same product.
I think you're right, but I'm not going to be a Wetherspoons basher, for example, because they've done more for the small brewing industry than any other group in the United Kingdom. They open their doors to us. They allow us to sell our beers across 700 pubs in the UK. And what's most important of all is that they work with us to create new flavours and new opportunities. And I'm a huge fan of theirs, but I do take the point you're making as a generality, which is we don't want plastic stereotype pubs anymore. And it's up to the likes of ourselves to set the trend, set the pace, and for others to follow. And let me reassure you, there are thousands of entrepreneurial licensees out there who are just waiting for the opportunity to get going.
Simon, good to talk to you, and have a terrific weekend.
Thank you.
You can find out much more information at the website, which is jazz@llandeilo.co.uk, jazz@llandeilo.co.uk. Our thanks this morning to Simon Buckley, the Chief Executive of Evan-Evans Brewery. News, sport, travel and weather for you in a few minutes after.
Nawr Gareth Benny'n gweud bod ni'n ddod o'r môr yn Wimbledon heddi, mae'n ddod o'r môr yn Llandeilo heddi hefyd, achos mae gwyl jazz newydd sbon yn dechrau yn y dref. Mae David Williams yn un o dîm trefnu rwyl yn ymuno ni nawr. Bore da i chi, David?
Bore da, siamai.
Popeth yn barod ych chi?
Wel, odi, fi'n credu bod mae yna rhyw 20 o fandiau gwahanol yn aros i berfformio, yn dechrau heno mynd mlaen wedyn i tan yn nos Sul. Odi, mae pethau wedi symud yn eitha cyflym i wedi gwir, ac maen nhw'n dweud mae'r pwyllgor gorau yw'r pwyllgor llia, ac rhyw grw bach sydd wedi bod wrthi, ac wedi tynnu at ei gilydd gwyl gobeithio fydd yn gychwyn o bethau mawr i'r dyfodol. Mae hon yn wyl mewn gwirionedd, sydd yn yn rannu'r un fath o weledigaeth, ac oedd Brecon Jazz, chymod, blynydde nôl, pan oedd hi'n yn wyl anffurfiol, oedd hi'n wyl oedd pobl yn gallu mwynhau a chael profiadau jazz am ddim.
Ie, achos mae'r cwbl mynd i fod am ddim dych chi'n Llandeilo, dwi'n meddwl? Ydy'r cwbl am ddim dych chi'n Llandeilo?
Odi, dyna sy'n mewn gwirionedd yn gwneud yr wyl yma yn eitha unigryw.
Siwt chi di wneud ni? Ie, siwt chi di wneud ni?
Wel, mae e wedi dod trwy nawdd gan gwmnïau. Mae lot o llawer iawn o fusnesau'r dre wedi dod at ei gilydd. Mae un busnes yn arbennig, sef yr bragwr Evan-Evans. Mae'r bragdi wedi rhoi i dwylo ni pwcedi'n ddwfn i gefnogi ac ariannu llawer iawn o'r hyn fydd yn digwydd. A fel fi'n gweud, mae yna rhyw 20 o fandiau yn chwarae mewn 3-4 fenyw.
A mae pob mod i gwerthu? Wel, dim wedi gwerthu, mae'r tycannau gyd wedi mynd e?
Pwrpas yw 2,000 ohonyn nhw wedi mynd erbyn hyn.
Galanogol iawn.
A dos na ddim rhagor ar ôl, ynddo fe?
Gallai jyst gofyn yn gloi? Ie, i ddod, bod nhw'n ffili mynd mewn i'r cyngerdau?
Dyna holl bwrpas y penwythnos fi'n credu yw arddangos Llandeilo. Mae Llandeilo yn drefach, fel i chi'n gwybod, yn drefach fendigedig i ddod iddi. Mae'r rhedeg busnes mewn tre Llandeilo, fel Llandeilo yn y dyddiau sydd ohonyn nhw, yn her i bawb. Mae yna fusnesau, siopiau, tafarnau, tai bita hyfryd yn y dre. A dyna un o brif ffocysau'r wyl yma yw wneud un beth cymunedol i hybu'r dre.
Gall pobl ddod i fwynhau hyd yn oed os na allan nhw fe mewn i'r cyngerdau. Reit, oce. Un peth yn gloi iawn, mae Rian Haf newydd yn mewn i'r studio. Mae David dimlo bod i'n mynd i roi newyddion drwg unio ran y tywydd. A mae lot o beth wedi cael ei gohirio o'r penwythnos yma. Siw mae arnoch chi o ran yr wyl?
Mae'r fenyw, mae'r tair lleoliad, bydd rheini o dan ganfas, mae yna 2 gwrtiad a mae yna stafell eitha eang yn y trydydd lle, felly bydd hwnna'n cario ymlaen. Geith rhywfaint o effaith wrth reswm ar yr gerddoriaeth yn y stryd, a mae dyn yn gobeithio, mae ysbeidiol fydd y glaw ac nid bod e'n arllwys yn fe, ond fe fydd na ddigon i